The midnight shadows. It was a quiet, fog-drenched night when Lucy, Jake, and Aaron stumbled upon the forgotten movie theater deep in the woods. The air smelled of decay, and the ground beneath them was damp, squelching with every step. They had heard rumors of this place, of the cursed theater that had once screened the scariest horror movies ever made. No one dared enter, and those who did were never seen again. Yet, here they were. Curiosity had gotten the better of them. The massive doors creaked open with a sound that echoed into the darkness beyond. Dust swirled in the stale air as they stepped inside, the flickering light of their flashlight illuminating old posters of iconic horror movies. Creatures from another time stared back at them with hollow eyes. Monstrous figures like the Creeper, the Banshee, and the Hollow Man. But these weren't just ordinary posters. They felt alive, their eyes tracking the group's every move. "What if the stories are true?" Lucy whispered, gripping Jake's arm tightly. "Come on, it's just a bunch of old stories," Aaron replied, trying to sound brave. Yet, his voice wavered. They made their way deeper into the theater, towards the main hall where the screen loomed like a great black abyss. Suddenly, the projector flickered on by itself. The screen came to life, and an old horror movie began to play. But something was off. The characters in the movie weren't actors. They looked real. The first creature on the screen was the Creeper. It was a being of grotesque proportions, its leathery wings stretching out like a bat's, and its face, a twisted mass of rotting flesh, was a nightmare in itself. As the monster stalked its victims, the theater's atmosphere thickened. The air grew colder, and they could hear something faint, like the distant flutter of wings. Then, the sound became real. From the rafters above, a shape dropped silently behind them. Lucy gasped as she saw the silhouette of the Creeper, not on the screen, but in the theater. It crouched low, its eyes glowing with a predatory hunger. Without warning, it lunged at them. "Run!" Jake shouted, pulling Lucy towards the exit. But the door wouldn't budge. The theater was no longer just a building. It had transformed into a trap, a place where the very monsters from the movies had come to life. Their screams echoed through the theater as the Creeper slashed through the darkness, its claws inches from their skin. They darted into the projector room, slamming the door shut behind them. The room was small, filled with old reels and equipment. "We need to shut off that projector," Aaron said, breathless. "Maybe it's controlling them." Jake ran towards the old machine. His hands trembled as he reached for the power switch. But before he could touch it, the reel changed. On the screen now was the Banshee, a ghostly figure with hollowed eyes and a mouth that stretched impossibly wide, emitting a shriek so high-pitched it pierced the soul. Even through the thick walls, they could hear the sound of her wail, growing louder with each second. Their hearts raced, pounding in their ears. "The Banshee's scream can kill," Lucy whispered in terror, recalling the legends. The walls began to vibrate as the scream drew nearer. Suddenly, the window shattered, and the Banshee appeared in the room, her ethereal form hovering just above the ground. Her scream filled the space, and blood began to drip from their ears. They covered their heads, trying to block out the noise, but it was no use. Just as Lucy felt her body about to collapse from the overwhelming sound, Jake smashed the projector. The screen went black, and the Banshee vanished into thin air. But the silence didn't last long. The film reel changed again. This time, it was the Hollow Man. A creature completely invisible, except for the faint shimmer in the air when it moved. A subtle rustle, a brush of wind, and you knew it was close. It wasn't the kind of monster you could see or fight. It stalked you silently, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Aaron gasped as he felt something cold graze his neck. "It's here," he whispered, his breath coming out in sharp, terrified bursts. Lucy's eyes darted around the room, but there was nothing to see, just empty air. But they weren't alone. She grabbed the flashlight, swinging it wildly, hoping to catch the shimmer of the hollow man. Suddenly, Aaron was pulled back, lifted into the air by an unseen force. His scream was choked off as the invisible creature began to crush him. Jake and Lucy tried to grab him, but their hands passed through thin air. In seconds, Aaron was gone, dragged into the shadows by the invisible terror. Desperation set in. "We need to destroy the theater," Jake shouted, realizing there was only one way out. They ran down to the basement, where the old wiring of the theater was housed. The ground beneath their feet trembled, as if the building itself was alive, feeding off the fear of it.